Welcome, and thank you for joining the Clean Water Program team for a presentation on the upgrade and expansion of the city's wastewater treatment plant. My name is Azalea Mitch, and I am the Deputy Public Works Director overseeing this effort. The city embarked on a $1 billion program to address regulatory compliance requirements in 2015. The wastewater plant upgrade is the largest component of the program and the most significant work done at the facility since the 1970s. Once completed, the plant will produce high-quality treated water and meet water quality regulations. The improvements will benefit residents, future generations, and the San Francisco Bay community. After years of planning and design, we began construction of the project last July. We are here with you today to share information on the second phase of the project, which involves the driving of about 2,000 piles over an 8.5-month period beginning the week of June 22nd. We hope to answer all of your questions and to connect with you as we continue with the construction effort. In this presentation, you will hear from Kelly Benz, our Communications and Public Relations lead, who will walk you through the norms for this virtual meeting. Derek DeKeegan, our Engineering Manager, will provide you with an overview of the drivers and objectives of this project. We began working with Stunt Construction in 2017 during the design effort. Doug Lenz, who is the Senior Project Manager for the construction, will describe the work completed as we began the first phase in July of last year. And Chris Bessa from Jacobs, who is leading the construction management, will guide you through phase 2 and the activities and will provide an overview of what to expect. We thank you very much for your time. We hope that you find this presentation informative. And with that, I would like to pass it on to Kelly.
Hello, my name is Kelly Benz. I'm the Communications and Public Relations Analyst for the Public Works Department at the City of San Mateo. We'll just be providing some quick information about how you can interact with us during this presentation. All the questions will be answered live after the presentation. If this is your first Zoom meeting, to ask a question, you just click raise your hand if you're joining us on Zoom. If you're a phone-in participant, press 9 to raise your hand, or you can email at info@cleanwaterprogramsanmateo.org. Either way, we'll get your questions and we'll incorporate them into the live Q&A after the presentation. The questions are going to be answered in order. We have staff who are watching as people raise their hands, so we'll know what order you came in. Please limit your questions to 3 minutes. Once the question has been asked, we will mute you and let the speaker respond to your question. If you have a follow-up question, please click the raise your hand again and you'll get back in the queue. And just a note for everybody, this meeting is being recorded. By joining this meeting through Zoom, you agree to be recorded. Thank you very much. On our agenda today, we're going to be looking at the Clean Water Program overview. Then we're going to get into the wastewater treatment plant upgrade and expansion update. We're going to be sharing information about the ongoing construction and the upcoming construction. After the presentation is finished, we will open to a live Q&A session. Now I'll hand it over to Derek DeKeegan.
Hi everyone, my name is Derek Keegan and I am one of the city's engineering managers. I have a few slides to present that will provide an overview of the Clean Water Program. The two images at the top are of our existing collection system and our wastewater treatment plant. Our collection system comprises of approximately 240 miles of sewer mains that collect wastewater from all the San Mateo properties along with some of our neighboring agencies. It then conveys all the collected sewer all the way to the treatment plant for treatment. The location of the treatment plant is shown with a green dot in the northeast region of the city and also with an aerial view shown to the right. We continue to operate and maintain our facilities in both the collection system and treatment plant, but portions of our system need a replacement, need increases in capacity, and also need significant upgrades to meet regulations. Bringing your attention to the bottom flow diagram, the reason why we call this the Clean Water Program is because we want to ensure that our wastewater system appropriately collects, treats, and discharges clean water into the bay. Our system doesn't always appropriately do this, mainly during peak wet weather events when our system capacity is challenged. Part of the issue our system deals with is infiltration and inflow. Infiltration occurs when groundwater enters the wastewater system through defects in the system. This is highlighted with the blue text in the large graphic. The two images to the right are from our video inspection program that we do annually. We video and photograph the inside of our mains to identify these defects so we can repair them. The top brown one shows a root intrusion of the pipe, which blocks flow, and the bottom red one is showing a significant break at one of the pipe joints. Our storm drain system and wastewater system are supposed to be completely separate. However, inflow sometimes occurs. If you focus back to the main image, inflow, shown with green text, is water entering the system through inappropriate connections. Examples are roof drain connections, cross connections between our sewer and storm systems, and also uncapped cleanouts. Now, I've mentioned capacity and peak wet weather events, also known as heavy rain events, throughout my previous slides. Well, during dry weather or normal conditions, the sewer system runs fine and it has more than enough capacity. However, during peak wet weather events, the rain infiltrates into the ground, leaks into the sewer pipes through cracks and failures in the system, and the heavy rain mixes with the raw sewage and increases the amount of wastewater in the pipe to the point where there is no room in the system and the only place left for the wastewater to go is up. This is typically seen by the community through manholes, as shown in the video on the right there. This type of capacity failure is called a sanitary sewer overflow, or SSO, or simply an unintended leak. This is diluted sewage overflowing onto our streets, sometimes for several hours. This happens in both our collection system and at our treatment plant. These leaks and overflows gush onto our streets and into our storm drains, and from the drains, they flow into our creeks, then our lagoon, and finally into our San Francisco Bay. We've had to put up warning signs and close our beaches because of the amount of contamination in the waters. This is a significant health issue for both our community and the environment, and this has occurred in the past and will, without a doubt, continue to occur in the future if we try to maintain our system the way it currently is. Significant improvements are needed to make this stop because this is not good, and our city isn't the only one that notices these issues. The California EPA's Regional Water Quality Control Board has also noticed. Their job is to ensure that everyone is keeping California waters clean. They have done two things to make sure the city of San Mateo meets their regulations. And one is they've set stricter discharge requirements for our treatment plant. And two, they issued a cease and desist order mandating the elimination of sanitary sewer overflows and required specific corrective actions that we have to take and also have started to take. The city established the Clean Water Program a few years back to embark on accomplishing these goals shown here. The first is to replace aging infrastructure and facilities. The second is to build wet weather sewer system capacity to ensure that we prevent sanitary sewer overflows. We want to meet current and future regulatory requirements so that we comply with the CDO and the permit requirements. And lastly, we want to align with the city of San Mateo and Foster City's sustainability goals. Ultimately, the Clean Water Program wants to protect the Bay and our community for a sustainable future. You are here because of the wastewater treatment plant project. Before I hand the presentation off to Doug, let me provide you with a high-level overview. This slide is to help you set your bearings to the vicinity and surrounding areas. To the north, we have the San Francisco Bay and Seal Point Park, plus East 3rd Avenue. To the far west, we have Norfolk Street, and as you get closer to the plant, we have Dale Avenue and Shoreview Avenue. To the south, we have Leslie Creek, Joinville Park, and Kehoe Avenue, along with Bayside School. And to the east, we have the Lagoon and Seal Slough. The next 4 slides are conceptual renderings of what the project should look like when it is finished. This one has text pointing out the existing plant, the new treatment process facility, and the administration building. The bay is to the bottom right, and the Shoreview neighborhood is in the background behind the plant. This project not only will treat wastewater to meet current and future regulations, it improves the area around the facility. In the past, pedestrians had to walk in the road for much of Detroit Drive. This project adds a safe pedestrian and bike path with nice landscaping. In addition, the admin building will have an entry plaza and an educational area to help inform the community about what the facility does. There will also be some metal fabric screenings to improve the aesthetics and screen some of the more industrial-looking components from the plant. And educational signage along the path will be placed. This image shows another view of the path. One item that was not pointed out on the previous slide was the seating along the path to provide areas to rest. All the other text callouts show items that I previously discussed. This is a view of the admin building with text identifying much of what I previously stated. The city wanted a frontage that was nice to look at, that improved safety for pedestrian and bikers, and provided an educational connection for our community. For this wastewater treatment plant project, we have had continuous outreach and engagement. Since 2016, we have had multiple meetings with the community, city commissions, and city council. Each meeting has allowed for engagement with community members. At the bottom, most of these channels are what we use to reach out to the community. These include mailers, emails, e-newsletters, door hangers, Facebook, Nextdoor, Twitter, and press releases. We will continue to keep the community engaged and outreach through these channels. The project will be constructed in 3 phases. The first one is site preparation and has started last year and will continue through the end of this year. Doug Lenz will provide you with more information on phase 1 in a bit. Phase 2 will be starting this June, and this is why we wanted to update you on this information and the project. It is mainly building the foundation and will continue between June 2020 through January 2022. The last phase, phase 3, is building the rest of the facilities, as you can see in the image to the right. This will carry all the way through to September 2024 when the project is complete. Overall, the construction duration for all 3 phases is approximately 5 years total. Now, let me hand off the presentation to Doug so he could talk about phase 1 and the progress that has been completed to date.
Thanks, Derek. I will now walk through the phase 1 construction activity completed on the site. Here's a bird's eye view of the general area. The blue circled area represents a 6-acre new site and the way it looked before phase 1 construction activity commenced in early fall 2019. The existing wastewater treatment plant is shown immediately to the left of the circled area. This site rendering is showing some of the major phase 1 construction activity around the site. The red tagged scoped items identify process facilities that were recently torn down and removed from the existing plant. These areas will be used for new structures that will be constructed later in the project. The green tagged areas show where the temporary construction trailers have been installed. It should be noted additional trailers will be mobilized in these areas later this year to support phase 3 work. Lastly, the orange tag represents the majority of the phase 1 work, which included excavation, shoring, and dewatering. This comprised of a 60 feet deep shoring wall that was installed around the site perimeter. This shoring wall enabled the site excavation work to achieve the depth levels required of the project, as deep as 25 feet in select areas. Dewatering wells were drilled around the shoring perimeter to draw down groundwater from the excavation area. This collected water is then conveyed to a dewatering treatment system that was installed. Mass excavation encountered groundwater 6 to 7 feet below grade. Also at this elevation, the soil turned to bay mud. Over 55,000 cubic yards of soil and bay mud was excavated and hauled off the site. The excavation scope is in the final phases and should be complete by the end of this month. There are 2 live web cameras that monitors construction activity on the site. These cameras are accessible to the public via the link provided on the top of this slide. We encourage you to check them out. To relay a better sense of the phase 1 construction activity, I will now present a rolling slide deck of construction photos that captures the sequential progress to date. The first activity on the 6-acre site was to clear and rough grade the site, which occurred in late fall 2019. A custom large drill rig was then mobilized to the site to install the shoring wall, which is 60 feet deep, 3 foot wide, and reinforced with steel piles. This wall enables the site to be excavated to 25 feet below grade and provides a perimeter barrier to cut off groundwater from seeping into the site. Work included the demo of 2 abandoned digester structures on the existing site. This will provide space for planned new structures for the project. After 7 weeks, the drilling of shoring wall work is now in the final stages. A perimeter wall length of more than 1/3 of a mile was ultimately installed. With the shoring wall now intact, installation of groundwater wells commenced to extract the groundwater and convey it to the newly installed dewatering treatment system. Initial site drawdown rates were in the 150 gallon per minute range and have since settled into a consistent 20 gallon per minute extraction rate. The final step in completing the shoring wall was to install 90-foot long steel cable tiebacks, which anchors the wall, providing the required structural stability. Simultaneous underground work and other construction scope progressed around the site, including the demo of abandoned filter vessels in the existing plant. Final testing of the shoring wall tiebacks was completed in March, enabling the excavation work to proceed to lower depths. Site excavation is now in the final stages. Over 5,000 truckloads of material has been exported from the site. Development of the subbase to support the new structure is also nearing completion. Lime is being mixed with native soil to form a stable surface 25 feet below perimeter grade. These Phase 1 construction activities will be complete by the end of this month, which prepares the site for the Phase 2 pile driving work to start, the next step in advancing the construction of this new state-of-the-art wastewater treatment facility. I will now turn this presentation over to Chris for information related to Phase 2 construction work.
Hi, my name is Chris Bessa with Jacobs Engineering. I'm the construction manager for the project. I'd like to walk through in more detail the Phase 2 pile driving installation scope of work, as well as provide an understanding of the construction activities and logistics themselves. The Phase 2 scope of work will consist of the installation of approximately 2,000 precast piles. These piles will vary in length from 80 to 105 feet long and will be drilled at different elevations around the site. The bulk of the piles will be driven in the currently excavated hole that was constructed under Phase 1. The other piles will be driven at grade around the perimeter of the site. I did want to explain what is a foundation pile and why these piles are needed as part of the wastewater treatment plant expansion. A pile is a support structure that is needed to provide foundational support for the process areas. These piles are needed for three primary reasons. One is the site is located near the bay and has high susceptible influence of tidal influence and heavy groundwater. So the piles will provide a support to prevent uplift of the groundwater and tidal influences. These piles will also provide a way to support the structures from sinking, as the site is situated in bay mud, being so close to the bay. And finally, the piles will provide a structural reinforcement as they are connected into the foundations themselves to prevent to help with seismic activities. The rendering on the right depicts the piles being driven into a more stable old bay mud layer to provide that layer of stability. The Phase 2 scope of work will be split into two stages. Stage 1 will begin this month and last through December of this year. It will take approximately 6 months. During Stage 1, we'll install 1,500 of these piles in the currently excavated hole of the site. As shown in the image, a temporary sound wall will be erected on the western edge of the site to provide noise mitigation to the nearby Shoreview neighborhood. The temporary sound wall will be 24 feet in height, and a sample image is shown in the top right corner. Upon completion of Stage 1, there will be a 6-month break while the contractor continues work on the lower concrete foundation of the process areas. In approximately July of 2021, pile driving activity will resume and take approximately 2.5 months to install piles at the top surface areas around the site. About 25% of these piles, or 500, will be installed during the Stage 2 operation. A secondary sound wall, a new sound wall, will be erected again on the western edge of the site of the property to continue to provide noise mitigation to the nearby businesses in Shoreview neighborhood. I wanted to provide more information on the pile type itself and the driving methods that will be used to install these piles. During the design phase, extensive analysis and research and testing was done to determine the type of pile to be and the type of hydraulic hammer, the type of impact hammer that will be needed to drive the piles. Ultimately, precast, pre-stressed concrete piles were selected based on their being the most cost-effective and that they provided the most optimum structural strength to meet the soil conditions. The type of impact hammer was also carefully looked at, and a couple options were considered. Ultimately, a hydraulic hammer has been selected, and this hammer will ultimately provide lower noise levels as well as result in no smoke emissions as compared to more commonly used diesel hammers. The rendering on the right shows the equipment that will be used in the pile driving operation itself. As shown, a crane and boom will be used to hold and set the pile in place. And the impact hydraulic hammer will drive the pile into that lower, stable, old bay mud layer. A noise shroud will also be situated where the impact hammer meets the pile as a further way to mitigate noise to the public. The impact of the hammer to the pile will generate noise, and noise should be expected from the operation. The graphic on the right is a thermostat of sorts that shows decibel levels that are common to devices and instruments that are common to the public. During the design phase, the city embarked on some modeling and test piles and modeled the results of what noise levels can be expected from the operation. The majority of the piles will be expected to have decibel levels of a 90 to 105. Taking that thermostat of decibel levels, we've overlaid the expected noise levels onto the site map. And what you can see is that the majority of the piles that will be installed in stage one that will have noise levels in the yellow to green ranges, which are 80 to 70 decibel levels. So the noise levels will be dropped at lowest as the further we are away from the property limits, and the majority of those piles are shown in this yellow and green color shading. Stage two will have some piles up at the ground surface that are close to the property lines. Those are just a small portion of the piles, and those ranges will reach about 100 to 110 decibel levels. The sound mitigation wall, the sound wall, of course, will be installed on the western property side to help mitigate noise to the businesses in Shoreview neighborhood. I also want to describe the expected construction hours for the phase two construction duration. As shown in bold, the biggest item to focus on is that the pile driving activities will be restricted to weekday work only from 8 to 5 p.m. Construction itself a typical day will be about 8 to 10 hours, but the pile driving operation will be restricted to 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. As previously described, the city has done a thorough analysis and evaluation of different types of piles, different types of installation methods. They conducted some significant noise modeling, and they concluded that some of the piles will exceed the allowable 90 decibel level limits described by the municipal code. However, the city manager has provided a noise exception permit for the phase two work. As part of our construction management efforts, we will be monitoring for vibration, groundwater, and noise at various areas around the perimeter of the site. Our early testing did indicate vibration and groundwater do not expect to be significant issues with those two items. but we will continue to monitor these 3 items during the course of the Phase 2 work. The city is also committed to minimizing traffic impacts associated with the Phase 2 work. Hauling of materials and delivery of piles will be restricted to the currently approved haul routes. As you can see in the slide, traffic for deliveries will be restricted between Detroit Avenue and Highway 101. This will be enforced during the work by the CM team. I did want to describe the anticipated truck traffic associated with the pile deliveries themselves. Due to the tight site and the logistics and the constraints on the footprint of the site, we won't have the luxury of delivering the piles in bulk, and we'll have to deliver them in a just-in-time manner. Approximately 20 to 25 trucks per day are estimated. However, to avoid impact on 3rd Avenue in Detroit, actually 3rd Avenue, there'll be no truck parking allowed on 3rd Avenue, J. Hart Clinton Drive. Additionally, delivery time will also be restricted and enforced. Piles will only be allowed to unload between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. on weekdays. And further, no deliveries will be allowed between 4 p.m. and 5:30 to minimize the impact on the commute hours. This concludes my portion of the Phase 2 overview. Now I'd like to turn this back over to Azalea.
At the end of this project, we will have a state-of-the-art facility that will have a great benefit to the public health of the residents and also to the San Francisco Bay community. And we will do our best to minimize noise as much as we can. Please connect with us and stay in touch. We encourage you to contact us anytime, either through email or through our hotline. Please sign up to the wastewater treatment specific listserv and follow us on social media. We thank you very much for your time.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. It's nice to have the attendees that we have. We're going to open up to the Q&A session very soon here. We noticed we've got a few hands up already, and we've already got that order going. If you want to leave us already, we've got a poll at the website that we'd love you to take. If you go to cleanwaterprogramsanmateo.org, again, that's cleanwaterprogramsanmateo.org. There's a survey there. If you'd like to take that, let us know how we did. We're going to open it up to a Q&A pretty soon. We've got off the top Marissa, Bijan, and forgive me if I got that wrong, Nancy, and Yu Cheng. That's the order of the questions. Marissa, we're going to start with you, and I'm going to allow you to talk. You've got 3 minutes. This is just a reminder for anyone on the phone that wants to talk. In our presentation, we said that it was #9 to talk, to put your hand up on the phone. It's actually *9. So just a reminder of that. And Marissa, we're going to start with you. Jan, you are after, and then Nancy, and then Yu Cheng. Marissa, you can go ahead and talk whenever you're ready.
Hi, Acelia. This question is for Chris. My question is, I mean, you actually spent a lot of time and thought on the noise, and which I'm not concerned about. My concern is the vibrations that you glossed over and didn't really discuss what your plan would be when the shaking does start, because today was a horrible day for us right here on Dale Avenue when they were digging the 4th hole that wasn't in the notices that was sent to us regarding the Dale pump repairs that are being done. So if an excavator can shake our house worse than I've ever felt in the 23 plus years I've lived here, worse than any of the earthquakes we've had, the impact of the pile driving, I imagine, is going to be much worse than that. Can you please say something more about your plans for the vibrations? Because I don't think that it's going to be minimum as you say it.
Okay, thank you, Marissa. Azalea, I'll let you take that away.
Sure, thank you, Marissa. If you can hear me, hoping I sound okay. Yes, thank you very much for your question. We do appreciate the concerns, and we understand that there was some activity on the street related to the Dale Avenue Pump Station project. I do want to note that what we're doing at the plant is different, and I'll let Chris respond to describe what we're doing for the Dale project and how that is different from the treatment plant. But I do want to let you know that the Dale Avenue pump station work is the activity that that you are talking about in terms of the pits. We're almost done with that work, and we did find some conditions that we were not anticipating, but we will continue to follow up with the community. And with that, I'll let Chris add some more detail to the differences between the two projects.
Yeah, sure. I was made aware of the noise or the vibration today on Dale Avenue, and like you mentioned, Azalea, that is a separate project related to the Dale Avenue pump station project, and that work was the work that came up that caused some of the concern was related to driving some sheet pile as far as shoring related to some pits needed to perform some cured in place piping installation associated with the Dale Avenue pump station project. So that was really related to driving sheet pile for shoring, and that was right there in the middle of the street. I think the proximity to where those pits are versus the homes was much closer than what's going to be happening over at the treatment plant. And I want to get into a little bit about what was done to look at vibration at the treatment plant project. But before that, I want to just go back to what happened today and how we worked to respond to that. So I was made aware of the concern, and we quickly tried to mobilize our contractor and our CM team and our inspection team to work with the property owner to at least get a firsthand understanding. And so I hope that went well. We definitely tried to be responsive and understand the issue in more detail. So hopefully that was done properly. The noise or the vibration at that specific location, like I mentioned, we were driving sheet pile, the contractor was, and it was really only about 4 sheets that this happened. This is going to be very specific. That was a very specific installation that was to last 1 day only. And while they're driving the sheet, they did encounter a concrete, surface that was unforeseen, that resulted in them a little more effort to continue driving the sheet. So that's kind of an unexpected site condition that had to get worked through.
All right.
Yeah, I just want to also just highlight that, going back to that project, that during the course of that project, we actually worked to change the installation. It had called for an open cut methodology. So that project was envisioned to have an open cut with considerable length down Dale Avenue, and we're actually going with the trenchless methodology to continue to try to avoid impact to the public. But over to the treatment plant project, I don't expect that type of vibration to happen. We're much further away from the properties, and we actually, during this testing phase that was done during the design, we actually went and installed vibration sensors to get a feel for if vibration was going to prevent an issue. So we actually checked for several things. One was the noise modeling that I just described, and we also modeled vibration, and it came to the conclusion that we believe that there should be negligible impact, a negligible result of vibration from that operation, which is really driving precast piles. So different type of pile. One was a shoring system for sheet piles, and on the treatment plant we're driving precast. And I think we're in a different situation. And like I mentioned, during the studies, it was determined that vibration should be minor to negligible.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Chris. And Marissa, I remind you, if you have any follow-up questions, just raise your hand again. Oh, I see it up. Okay, we'll get back to you. Again, a reminder, anyone on the phone can press *9 if they'd like to raise their hands. And we've got a few questions already ready to go. Also, reminder to some of the people who are on here that we'd love to hear your opinions. We've got a poll on cleanwaterprogram.sanmateo.org. Bijan, we are ready for you, and forgive me if I mispronounce your name. I'm going to allow you to talk, and whenever you're ready, ask your question. You just have to unmute yourself. I have unmuted you. There you go.
Yeah, firstly, you pronounced my name perfectly. Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
And thank you for the presentation and the Q&A session. So my question is actually the other part of what was just asked. I'm less concerned about the actual vibrations, but more concerned about the noise. My question is, obviously this project was in the planning for many, many years, and certainly planning that you had a year, 2, 3, 4 years ago didn't account for the situation going through right now with COVID-19, whereby typically during the workday, 9 to 5, majority of people are out of their house and out of the area at their offices, but obviously because of what's going on right now, a significant number of people are doing the reverse. People are working from home on audio conferences, video conferences, etc. And so, noise would be more disruptive during the week. And I know you had considerations in your presentation that you wouldn't be disruptive to the residential people, at home over the weekend, which was the assumption. But with the changes, have there been any sort of evaluations or reevaluations of how the noise impacts the residential neighborhood, with the majority of people actually being home, which was certainly not anticipated a year or two or more ago? I know obviously you mentioned that there are some noise mitigation measures that you have with respect to drilling the piles into the ground, etc. But obviously there's going to be some disruption because of the 2,000 piles going in. So I was just wondering if you have looked at the current situation in light of the overall project, and if there's anything that has been changed because of what we're going through now.
Thank you, Bijan.
Hi, Bijan. Thank you for your question. Yes, we have had many discussions on the conditions that we are all under with COVID-19. And we have awarded this project. So we are, we not only, have the contractor ready to go, but we also have to meet the regulatory deadlines that we've been working with the Regional Water Quality Control Board on. However, as noted, we will do our best to minimize the noise, and that is by putting up that sound wall, by using the shroud around the hammer, and we will keep everyone notified of the activities. It is going to be loud. The good thing is that the noise does dissipate, and per our municipal code, we're supposed to measure right at the property line. So everyone beyond that, thank you, Derek, for putting that out. And I can walk you through this again. The noise levels will vary depending on where the pile rig will be located and where we'll be driving that pile. So as you can see, the green, whenever the contractor is working in the green zone, the anticipated noise levels that will be heard at the property line of the project, right where the cursor is, will be around 70, which is the noise of a car. And those levels will dissipate as the farther we get from the property. So residents in the Shoreview neighborhood will see levels much lower than that, 60 and below, when we're at 70 at the site. You see the gradations in color, the yellow, the levels will be 90 at the property line, and that means that they drop down to 70 in the residential neighborhoods. And then the second phase, which will be done later, are those piles in red, which are at a higher elevation and will be the loudest. The good thing about that is that it is much later in the process. As Chris mentioned, we're first digging everything or driving the piles that are in the hole. And then we'll the contractor will take a break and then work on the driving of the piles at grade, which are the loudest. So the conditions, we hope, right, are much different in 2021 when we'll embark on the loudest activities. But yes, we appreciate the question. It's honestly been a challenge for us. The timing is definitely unfortunate, but we want to be good neighbors, and we'll be making sure that that we've got the measures in place, and we also want to get this done as soon as possible, so that way, you know, the noise levels don't get prolonged. So we hope that this doesn't get delayed.
Thank you, Azalea. Nancy, you're going to be up next, and then you, Chang, and then we've got Mystery Galaxy Phone who's up next. So Nancy, I'm going to make you available to talk, and you are unmuted. You can go ahead and ask your question. Just unmute yourself. There you go.
Thank you so very much. These last 3 days with the vibrations here on Dale Avenue have been kind of disturbing. Our house in the past has suffered some cracks in the walls and things from other construction projects. When talking with the gentleman that came out today, he indicated that a year from now, they would be doing the same type of work on Dale Avenue for pipes parallel to the ones that they're working on now. Is that true? Can we expect the shake, rattle, and roll again 12 months from now?
Thanks, Nancy.
Chris, if you can address that. I can tell you that the Dale Avenue work, as Chris noted, we had planned on a different method that was going to be a lot more disruptive. And the good thing is that the method that we're using now, which focuses on not excavating the entire area, but a few pits, will be a lot less disruptive than the conventional open trench method. That's what we will line the pipes that are underneath in the next few weeks. In terms of what's expected a year from now, Chris, if you can add some detail.
Yeah, I just kind of describe kind of the reason why I had to do it twice. The Dale Avenue pump station actually has 2 force main feeds from the pump station into the plant. And you know, right now we're going. The project involves upgrading. You know, they send flows through those force mains through 2 separate wet wells, and then 2 independent dedicated force mains from the pump station to the treatment plant. And so the project, you know, involves upgrading the pumps and doing rehab at the pump station, but also upgrading the force mains themselves that were, you know, built in the 60s, 70s. You know, they're quite you know, aging. And so we're in the first phase, because we have to keep. So we've taken one of the force mains and wet wells completely offline in this season, and you know, we've had to split the work up because we have to kind of maintain the system. So that's why you kind of, you know, so we've isolated force main 1. We're doing all the work at the pump station, and as well as doing all the work at the force main now. And then when that is done, we can put that into service, and we have to go back and do the force main 2 because they're in parallel down Dale Avenue. So it's kind of a sequential need just to keep the system operational. I would offer up that I definitely want to, we definitely want to work to see what might be able to be done better. And we could definitely work with the contractor to explore different options. And so I think, you know, we are, as far as the noise that was heard and was related to driving these pits for the cured in place pipe operation, we have the last one to be installed tomorrow, and that should be that should complete it. So I think we'll then have a number of months to maybe do a lessons learned and understand what we can do to provide any more mitigation this time next year.
Thank you, Chris. That's great. Yu Chang, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. You're up next. And then we've got a Galaxy phone question. Marissa, Stacy, Olive, Josh, that's the order. And then we have an email question from Jackie. So Yu Chang, if you are ready, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, I'm not Yu Chang, but I'm the husband, Kevin.
Okay.
But yeah, my question was more related to the staging area 1 that you guys are setting up on the intersection of Dale and Shoreview. I wanted to know a little bit more about what all is going to be staged there. What type of foot and kind of machinery traffic, if any, can we expect going up Dale Avenue through that path? I know, we were affected by the shaking and everything too, which sounds like it's from a different project. But those heavy machineries were temporarily parked on the residential side of Dale Avenue outside of the water treatment plant. So I want to know, like, when that actually gets set up completely, will it just be trailers for people, or will there be more vehicle traffic going up that closed road?
Great. Thank you, Kevin.
Great, thank you, Kevin. Derek, can you go to one of the figures showing the staging? There we go. Doug, can you talk about what we're going to see or what we have been seeing?
And Doug, this is Derek. I also have the next slide too that shows the zoomed in view of that Dale Avenue site. I just wanted to show this to give reference to everyone where we're talking about, which is right here. So Doug, go ahead.
Doug, you might have to unmute yourself.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry.
And maybe, for reference, the cursor is going around the staging area, and then Derek, if you can go to the next slide.
Yeah. So what I was saying when I was on mute, sorry. So we went out and leveled that site off. It used to be a lot that wasn't used and was overgrown, and basically we took and we excavated its lot, and what you see is like that phase 1 trailer has been installed, and that's where the city and Jacob's construction trailer is. But part of phase 3 scope that we'll be executing here in October, the time frame is we need to bring additional subcontractor trailers on there. So the entire site is only going to be used for pickup trucks and cars and subcontractor administration staffs. And so you'll see some construction trailers, additional construction trailers on that site, similar to what is already residing on the site. As far as construction work down there on that property, the only thing that we really have is in the northwest corner there, right in that area. That's where those Dale Avenue force mains come in, and we'll have to go, put another pit in there and intercept those, and then bring it up that yellow dotted area up to that pedestrian path up to the new wastewater treatment plant. So that work will be quite a far away from the adjacent residences on that parcel. Does that answer the question?
I think so.
Please put your hand up again if it didn't. And Kevin, I see your hand is up again. I'm just going to allow you to answer Doug's question. So go ahead whenever you are ready.
Yeah, I guess part of my question was that road going up Dale into the water treatment plant that used to be the main entrance for people who are walking is closed off. So all those trucks and pickup trucks that are going to be coming potentially in and out of that lot, are they going to be getting to that lot through the Shoreview Dale intersection? And is that all temporary, and after the whole project is over, what happens with that lot? Maybe that's a separate question, but I'm more curious about, are those trucks going to be going back and forth through that Shoreview Dale intersection?
Thanks, Kevin.
So our intent is to limit the amount of traffic through that access point. Most of the traffic will go up through that old pedestrian path, or we've converted it, which will be refurbished and renewed after the project is over with, or through the existing plant. That's the primary means. There could be a few times during the construction process where we might need to have access to the other gate, but it's the intent of the program is to keep that gate closed. There are certain things though, to get those long trailers in, we have to come through that gate. So those are one-time type of, you might have seen that already go on with the one that we installed that came down Dale Avenue. But those are only one-time deals, and so when the trailers are installed, then we shut the gates back up. So for primary traffic flow back and forth into that lot, it's going to be utilizing that pedestrian path that's now been closed or comes through the existing plant.
Thank you, Doug. We're just moving on to the next question now. It's going to be the Galaxy phone that's going to answer. If you don't mind introducing yourself, we just have a Galaxy S9 on our list here. And then Stacy, your questions after that. Olive, Josh, you're next. And then we have a email question from Jackie. Marissa, we noticed that your hand went down, so we're going to assume we answered your question. If not, please raise your hand again. So Galaxy S9, if you could, oh, there you are, Marissa. Okay, we'll put you back in the queue where you were. So you're after Galaxy S9. Galaxy, go ahead and introduce yourself with your real name.
Hi, my name is Preeta. I'm the neighbor of Nancy and Marissa as well. Thank you for doing this event today. So to say politely, we as a neighbors, we're really, really upset because of the work that went on today. And I heard Chris saying how the noise today was unanticipated, or I also heard Cambridge, I think the name of the company was, giving assessment that to not respecting this level of vibration. At this point, in this neighborhood, nobody would believe any of those reports or anything that says, oh, don't expect much noise. Because we were all home and we went out running barefoot or whatever we're wearing, and we made a plea to those crew members who gave us a smirk and continued to do their work. And they asked us, are you going to tell me how to do my job? And so what we did was to clarify, we in this neighborhood are highly supportive and appreciative of everything that you guys do. And I even offer to let you guys use my property, park, whatever, however I can help. Sound 24/7. What we do not appreciate is the crew intentionally coming and ignoring our plea and intentionally being negligible with the quality of work, especially causing vibration. And what they did was, to explain you in detail, and I appreciate there was a long trench being cut and that was minimized to, with this new level of work and all that. I appreciate everything. I heard all your
Pretez, I want to remind you, you've got a 3-minute limit. So do you want to summarize your question?
Sure. I believe I'm within 2 minutes now, but yes. So when they cut that big chunk of, from that road, what they did was they were smashing right there, and that was causing vibration, shake. And it was not just shaking entire foundation and entire house, but also the backyard. And only plea we made was, please do not smash that. And we almost felt like they were enjoying doing that, and they were doing more.
Okay,
so,
Pretez, do you have a question, or do you just want to make a statement?
So question is, 2 spot was identified previously and we were notified that it was going to happen. This was not even identified. Now, is there any more surprises? That is number 1. And second question, how will we as on this neighborhood make sure that if this activity causes any damage to the house, because burden of evidence lies on homeowners, which we don't know how to do it. Okay. That was my second question.
Thank you, Pretez. Appreciate it.
So thank you this is Azalea Mitch. Thank you for your question. And I would really like, yes, to apologize for our contractor. Basically, what you described is not the kind of customer service that we expect from our contractors. So apologize really about that. We do want to be good neighbors for the treatment plant project. We have a hotline that, that is answered 24/7. So I will tell you that in terms of your question about, believing what we're saying, what we can tell you is that we have done prior tests for the activity at the plant. That we recorded readings, we did the test piles, so we have a relatively good idea of what to expect, and we will also be monitoring. And we will also we'll have that hotline that will be answered 24/7. For the construction on your street, yes, I do want to apologize. This is not, when we have concerns from residents, our job in the Public Works Department is to provide you with good service. We spend a lot of time planning and designing projects that will improve the day-to-day services that we do provide. We'll follow up with the contractor, and we have. And one of the things that we need to react more on is that if they do find conditions that are unknown that result in excessive vibration, then they should stop, right, and investigate and not proceed. So we will do, like it was noted, we have one more pit tomorrow. And I think that it's going to be important for us to be there with the contractor and to make sure, one, that they're being as careful as they can with the method. My understanding was that they found a very hard layer, and which led to the vibration. But it does not mean that that the work should not stop. So we do apologize about that, and we'll follow up tomorrow. We do have a notification process, and if the changes in the pit weren't reflected, we'll follow up on that too. We do know that the conditions, again, were not expected. But you're right. I mean, part of this is how do we respond to changing conditions. So we'll be following up on this tomorrow, and we appreciate the feedback in terms of how our contractors are responding.
Thank you, Azalea. And next up is going to be Marissa for her follow-up question. Then we've got Stacy, Olive, Josh, and then we have an email question from Jackie. I remind everyone that we'd love to hear your opinions of our first ever virtual community meeting. If you go to cleanwaterprogramsanmateo.org, we've got a quick little poll. It's only 5 questions. We'd love to hear your opinion. Again, it's cleanwaterprogramsanmateo.org. And Marissa, you are up. And go ahead and ask your question.
Says I'm muted.
You're unmuted now.
Okay. So my follow-up is the communication, the hotline you're talking about. So I called that number at 8:14 in the morning, and I was told I was going to get a phone call, and I never received one. So I went outside also because they said, did I go and talk to them and find out what's going on? So I went outside and talked to them, and that's when I was yelling over the machine, telling the foreman to tell his crew, his worker, to stop slamming the excavator because it wasn't necessary. Because when we were there watching, he was able to do it gently. So I know they're capable of doing the work gently without smashing. And my question is, if you're saying this hotline, we should have had a quicker response. Somebody should have come out here, and I even asked for the foreman. And I was told he was down the street. So I waited, nothing. So when at 2 o'clock they started digging again, I went outside and started yelling. And then I demanded that the project manager come over here. They were sending me across Norfolk to go talk to him. That's not okay. So when Billy finally came, he was great. He was amazing. But I think the response is you guys don't respond to the hotline.
And Marissa, can I just clarify, did the staffer on the hotline instruct you to go outside and talk to the construction crew?
Pretty much, I guess. She said, did you go outside and talk to them? So I said, no, I thought I'm supposed to call the number.
Who was it that told you to go outside and talk to them? The person that you called at the hotline?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks. I just need that clarification. Thank you, Marissa.
Yes, thank you, Marissa. This is not how our protocols are set up. So what I can tell you is that we will follow up. The intent is to have people respond quickly, and we do have our inspectors, our inspectors in the field and they should be able to respond quickly. So we'll be following up with our protocols, but that is certainly the intent, is to be as responsive as we can.
Thank you. Stacy, thank you very much for your patience. All of Josh, thank you for your patience. And Jackie, if you're still on the listening in, we'll get to your email right after all of Josh. Stacy, you are up. Go ahead, you're unmuted. You might have to unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
So I'm just gonna, since I have 3 minutes, I just want to clarify the hotline number. What is that?
It's right there on the screen, 650-727-6870.
Okay. Okay, so what I'd like to sum up, first of all, we are very upset. I have to say, in this neighborhood, we're very upset about that, not just the noise. Like, if that was all that this was all about, Shoreview, this monstrosity is being put on our doorstep. And I mean, God forbid there is an earthquake. I don't know what kind of gases or chemicals are stored there, or what responsibility the city is even going to take in protecting the public or educating us, because now we have something much larger. But just to even address what is going on right now, what we have to look at every day, they've cut down these scraggly trees. The digesters that are ugly as hell are showing, and we have to look at that every day. Mice and rats are running from those fields. They've ruined a lot of the storage facilities at All American Storage. I've had to throw out half of my stuff there. It's the noise, the dirt, the dust, the uninformation that we as a community here are having to put up with. And I just feel like it's, what danger are we being put in? What information can we get? How can we access? If something is being damaged, is our property going to be damaged by this pile driving? I cannot imagine it wouldn't be. I mean, it has to be. So, I mean, what can we do here to direct our questions, to get answers, and to get help when those situations actually happen? Because so far, I see a cover up here. We've had a flood there and nobody has been transparent about, no letter went out. We had to hear from a neighbor. So I don't really trust the city at this point and how this is being handled. So I really like to know, like, what right now in our path that we use every day to walk on. Now, I mean, for some seniors, that was really important. That's taken away. And for what, 5 years? Who knows? So just please address some of those questions. I realize there's a lot, but there's just so much anger here because there's so much that you're asking and there's so little we're getting.
Okay, thank you, Stacey. I appreciate that. And we hear the emotion in your voice, so we're going to get to some of those answers. Can I just ask, how did you hear about this meeting today?
A postcard.
A postcard. Okay, so you got the mailer. Okay, that was just my follow-up. And Azalea, I'll let you take this away. And if you have a follow-up, Stacy, put your hand up again. Thank you very much.
Sure. So if you, Derek, if you go back to the slide showing the expansion, the project. Yeah, if you actually go back to the rendering.
Sorry, give me a second here.
Yeah, thank you.
I apologize. It's hard to see these little slides.
The rendering 14, yes. So to what we are trying to do in this meeting is to give you an explanation of what we do every day and what we are being required to do for the protection of the San Francisco Bay for public health. So every day we have a staff of 28 operators that deal with wastewater on a daily basis. And the existing facility is aging. The existing facility doesn't meet the requirements future requirements that will come to deal with some of the public health issues that we showed to you in terms of sanitary sewer overflows and also water quality impairment to the bay. But every day we operate and treat 9 million to 10 million gallons of wastewater every day. And the expansion is long overdue in terms of where the infrastructure is and where we need to be in the future for all of you, our residents, and for the health of the bay. So those are our primary objectives, and there are a lot of folks that work every day and many folks that work at night. This facility is staffed 24/7, so we have operators throughout the night. So we do understand that construction is inconvenient. It is a long project. It's 4 years, but that's what it takes to build a project of this size. And we hope to have a state-of-the-art facility for decades. So we certainly apologize for the disturbance and the inconvenience, but I think at the end of the day, the community will be very well served, and every day we serve you. Like I said, we have that facility staffed 24/7. In terms of our construction protocols, like I said before, we will take a look at how the response for the shoring happened today. The intent is for us to be very responsive. For this facility, we will be monitoring, and we've done pre-tests. We have groundwater monitoring stations. So those are, the contractor will have very strict parameters to operate under. So we don't anticipate any issues. We have the ability to stop work if we do, and to investigate, but we really do appreciate the support that we've received throughout the years. And I think at the end of the day, we're going to have, like I said, a state-of-the-art facility that is going to be serving a very important public health role and also an environmental objective.
Thank you, Azalea. And I remind everyone listening to the meeting still that the website for the project is cleanwaterprogramsanmateo.org. Again, it's cleanwaterprogramsanmateo.org, where you'll find quite a bit of information as well as newsletters where you can sign up for regular construction updates. And for this meeting tonight, there's also a survey there. We'd love you to take that survey and let us know how we're doing. Olive, Josh, you are up next, and then we've got an email question from Jackie, and then we've got a question from Rosie Rivera. So Olive, Josh, I'm going to unmute, and you can go ahead and ask your question whenever you're ready.
Hi, so I'm in the house that's probably one of the ones closest to the construction site on Dale. And from my observations, because I've been running outside many times a day these past 2 days, the vibrations are not from pile driving, they're from the demolition work on the road. They've been using the excavator to smash up the road with the flat of the claw. So my first question is this proper demolition procedure, or could they use a jackhammer to maybe mitigate a lot of the vibrations? It seems to me that smashing up the road is the quick and easy way to do it, but it definitely causes a lot more potential damage to the property nearby. Which leads me to my second question. If there is any damage found on our properties, what will the compensation be? And a lot of the damage can't even be found immediately. If we find there's damage to our foundations, it might be months from now, years from now. What do we do then?
Thank you for your question. I'll just clarify that the pile driving at the wastewater treatment plant doesn't begin until later on this month, but I'll let Azalea take the other questions. Thank you for your question.
Yes, so thank you about that. Yes, absolutely. Chris and I spoke earlier today about reviewing the methods that the contractor is using, and we'll be following up with them to make sure that they are, using best practices, that they're being more careful. So yes, we will take a look at that. Again and see what we can do to change how they're currently doing the excavation and the street demolition work, as you noted. In terms of damage, I will refer you to the city's website. We do have a process for claims. So any issue that you think our projects have cost in terms of property damage, we do have a claim process that gets submitted and gets reviewed, and then damages get determined if they're deemed to have been caused by our activities. So there is a process in place.
Zelia, can I add a couple more things?
Absolutely, go Chris.
Yeah, so just to kind of, so back to the Dale project, a lot of these questions are happening about the work on Dale Avenue, and we have one more pit to, and as we described, that there's 2 force mains, and they're going to be happening sequentially. That we're working on, the contractor's working on force main 1 now, and then we will be coming back in a year from now approximately. And I definitely want to take that time to do a lessons learned and look at different shoring methodologies and what could might not be what other options are out there. We do have one more pit. So there's 4 pits along Dale that are then going to serve as the access to do this slip lining, this cured in place pipe, which again is it's a trenchless construction rather than the open cut that was planned along Dale. But we have one more pit to install tomorrow, and I'd like to definitely give the commitment that we'll have our team out there every step of the way, and at least we can really monitor this last pit closely and have that discussion and try to flush out all these things tomorrow for starters, and then again use the distance between when we come back to do the second force main to further zero in on other potential methods. Just as far as the removal of asphalt, the typical process is they'll saw cut, clean lines, and then they use that excavator to just cleanly lift up chunks of asphalt. What I think was happening was they had to drive these sheets as far as shoring for the pit, and that was where they were encountering this kind of unknown concrete layer that just required them to put in that more work. Again, we're going to take a closer look at this tomorrow and look to make improvements this next time around, next year.
Thank you. And I remind everyone that information about how to contact us can be found on cleanwaterprogramsanmateo.org or right here on the screen. There's information here. If you get to the website, the cleanwaterprogramsanmateo.org, and you're looking for a contact, just scroll down to the very bottom. You'll see the contact information. And don't forget to take our poll while you're at the website. We appreciate it. Okay, Rose, I'm sorry, I have an email question before I get to Rosie. Rosie, you're the last question, it appears. But first, we have a question from Jackie. And the question on the email is this. Would you be able to know what days they'll be driving the piles with the louder decibel ranges? That would help those of us that are working from home during COVID shelter-in-place orders. Any information that the team has on the schedule for the louder piles? So we know a lot of people are working at home, us included, and this is a different world than what we had planned for, but it's a great question for the team. Does anyone have an answer?
Absolutely. So if we go back to the figure showing the pile locations, we do have, so this indicates, depending on where the rigs are, the noise levels, depending on location and based on the property line. So the cool thing about this project is that we do have live cameras. So what we can do is, provide definitely updates showing how we're doing, where we are, but you can log on, you can go to our treatment plant website and actually see the construction activity. So in the map that we have will tell you what levels we're expecting depending on the location. But we will be updating you all periodically, frequently, and on that we can note the locations and how we're doing in the duration for sure.
Wonderful, thanks Azalea. And again, for anyone looking for that page, they just need to go to cleanwaterprogramsanmateo.org and then just go to the wastewater treatment plant page, and you can see the live cameras of the construction that's happening. You can watch it if you like to watch construction. It's right there, you can watch it live. Okay, Rosie Rivera, you seem like our last question of the night. I don't see any other hands raised. So Rosie, I'm going to allow you to talk and go ahead and ask your question whenever you're ready. You'll have to unmute. There you go. Yep.
Okay. First of all, thank you for hosting this forum. I really appreciate the information that's being shared and the opportunity to provide feedback. My question actually is, once all the trenches on Dale are finished, are you going to resurface the street, or what's going to happen with the street?
Great question. And Chris, can you talk about the extent of the paving that we're going to be doing after the pits, after the lining is done?
You know, I don't know the exact limits of the restoration in that scope. I don't know if we're planning on, you know, repaving it from the pump station out to the plant. I can definitely look in. Yeah, I just don't have the knowledge of the.
Yeah, if we're doing yes, if we're just going back to just restoring the pits, or if extended those limits. So Rosie, apologies that we can't answer that, but if you send us an email, we will definitely send you the extent of the restoration effort, the information on that.
And Rosie, the email is info@cleanwaterprogramsanmateo.org. So I don't see any other hands up. I really want to appreciate everybody for coming out tonight. This is our very first virtual community meeting. Normally we would do it in person for obvious reasons. We're keeping our distance. I want to remind everyone that our website has a poll on it. We'd love to hear your opinions of our first ever virtual community meeting. You can go to cleanwaterprogramsanmateo.org to give us our feedback, and I'm just going to mute whoever's making some noise there. Oh, that was the wrong person to mute. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Again, I really want to thank everyone for being here tonight. This was our first ever, and this was a new experience for us, so we appreciate everyone. Again, you can find all the information you need at cleanwaterprogramsanmateo.org. And with no other hands up for the night, we're going to end this meeting. It's just before 7:30 and about 7:24. So we appreciate everyone. And again, you can find all the information you need to find about the project at cleanwaterprogramsanmateo.org. And we thank everyone for taking the time out to join us tonight. All right. Thank you. Good night, everyone.